Ascension Chamber. This is Coach Eric with Griffin Fencing and Archery Studio, and today I am socially distancing with Allison Almond, the organization maven. So how are you doing today, Allison?
I am doing great, and I love this very cool weather we're having today in June.
Yes, well, we have to enjoy it while we can, because I'm sure it'll get hotter later.
100-degree weather is coming soon.
Yes, exactly. So, Allison, tell us a little bit about your business as the organization maven. What is it that you do?
So I organize people. I help people that are overwhelmed and have a lot of clutter, and they just don't know where to start. So I come in and kind of save the day and organize and take care of the project. There really isn't a project I can't handle, and I have a great attitude of, okay, let's do this. And every time I tackle a project, all the time, people just kind of fall over themselves because they can't believe I did so much in such a little time and just took care of it for them. And then I relieve all their anxiety, and they just can breathe again because the clutter is gone.
That is awesome. I'm sure that's the sort of thing that lots of people need.
Yes.
And the challenge, I would imagine, is trying to find someone who does those services.
Right.
So how is it that you've found a way to kind of get the word out about your service?
So I do a lot of branding of myself. I have images that I put all over the internet. I'm on about 5 different social media platforms. I have the same profile, the same words that I use to describe my business, and so that way anyone that searches for me by certain keywords, the same profile picture and the same information about me pops up. So it makes it real easy. You don't even have to be on Facebook or Instagram. You can be on Nextdoor, or you can be on Yelp, or you can be on Google, and you still find me.
Right. And I understand that this is, in fact, the outfit that you wear on all of those different things. So
Yes.
You're being consistent with our video here, wearing the same outfit that they see in all the profile pictures and things like that,
Right.
too.
I want everyone to know that I'm a real person and I'm not fake, and that anywhere they look for me, they see the same smiling face, the same outfit. This is how I looked yesterday. This is how I looked 3 months ago. I keep my hairstyle the same and my jewelry the same so that I have the same consistent look pretty much all the time.
Okay. So, well, that's good advice, because a lot of times I'm sure people are putting up maybe different pictures or different images. So having some sort of consistency across the board is important with branding. Now, you mentioned that you're doing a number of different social media. That can get a little overwhelming. What's your advice for people to try to manage their branding on their social media pages?
Well, I feel that if out of all the social medias, to pick 3 or 4 that you feel confident engaging on and putting the same information across the board. Contrary to what some of the other social media people say, where they say you need to put different content on different platforms, that can get tiring knowing what you did where. So it's easier if you just pick 4 and do 4 across the board of the same content across. So whether you reintroduce yourself or you share something like a before and after picture, just do the same thing across the board and then engage with all those people. So I pick 4. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Nextdoor. Those are the 4
Okay.
that I really am consistently at least 2-3 times a week posting and generating leads from.
And so for the most part, the post is the same. So say you have a post that you've composed for Facebook, it's got an image, it's got some
Location.
text, location, etc. You would then post the identical thing on those other platforms. Right. Okay. Whew. I've been doing it wrong all this time.
Well, everyone's different on how they connect to the internet. So whether people feel comfortable being on Nextdoor and talk about coyotes and strangers driving down their street, then I'm going to post about my before and after pictures of a garage, because then they're going to relate to their neighbors, especially if one of their neighbors got their garage reorganized. Then they're more likely to be like, hey, that lady was down the street helping Bob, so I want her to come to my garage and do that. So it makes it more relative, and I'm not so much a stranger. And then when I post on Instagram and Facebook, it's more of generic of this is what I've done or this is what I'm doing today. Yesterday I checked into the city of Aliso Viejo and just said that I was packing up a client. There wasn't any pictures to show because it's not really that exciting to see someone pack something into a box. It just isn't. So there wasn't anything to post, but I did put that I was working and that I was, that I did something.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what are some other techniques that you've used or things that you're using to help get the word out about your business?
Well, pretty much I discovered, especially last year, that a lot of people, as soon as I would introduce myself to them, they would be like, oh man, I wish I had known about you 3 weeks ago. I just moved. I would have loved to have a moving coordinator do all my move for me. And then I had another instance where it's like, oh man, 2 months ago, I just organized my garage myself because my mother-in-law was moving in and I had to make room for her. So I asked, especially last year, I asked, well, what were you doing 3 months ago before your mother-in-law moved in? What were you doing for networking? What were you attending socially? How could I have met you before that incident happened? And a lot of people said that they joined the chamber, that they went to ribbon cuttings, that they went to grand openings, and that's where they met a lot of their connections. So I thought to myself, okay, it's 2020, I want to join everything. So I joined the Placentia Chamber. I became friends with a lot of realtors so I can go to all their ribbon cuttings and grand openings and open houses and things like that. And so, but I guess the key to joining things isn't just getting your name on a list. Okay, great, I'm on the chamber, awesome. No one's gonna know I'm on the chamber unless I go to chamber events, that I interact on the social media posts, that I am in the group pictures, because then when people see me wearing my blue shirts at the different events, they're gonna be like, hey, that's that lady on next door, it's the same picture, and now she's part of Placentia Chamber? Well, I live in Chamber, and I need my garage done. Okay, I'm gonna hire her. So I've just had to do a lot of joining and making time to do social events and making sure that I get a lot of pictures done on all the media stuff.
Right. Now, with the same thing with managing all of those social media things, challenges managing your engagement with your Chamber of Commerce, BNI, things like that. So is it the same thing where you want to focus maybe on 3 or 4 chamber or networking groups, or what's your feeling or your experience in that?
Pretty much every week I attend something twice a week. So I make the time to go to a lunch or go to an evening thing. I'm a single mom, so I have to figure in like soccer stuff and swim practice and all these other things. But if I'm able to manage to take a Tuesday morning off and go to a meeting, then I do. But I do a lot of just scheduling it into my calendar to make sure that I can be a part of it. And I just try to engage a lot and make a lot of contacts, and I do a lot of follow-up. As soon as I get a business card later that afternoon, I'm resending a text saying nice to meet you. I always send my phone contact card that's set up already. I already had it set up with my picture and all my contact info, and I send that over thanking them, because more people are more often to not only open that text message, but they'll click on that contact and save me to their contacts. So then later when they're scrolling through their contacts, my branding picture comes up and they're like, oh yeah, that's that lady I met. Or, oh, I know I have a personal organizer in here, and then they can just scroll through and see everything. So that's probably been like my biggest thing, is doing that follow-up and then just going to events.
Yeah, now I noticed that little electronic business card is fairly unique. Where or how did you go about getting that made? Is it something simple people can do? Is there an app for it? Or did you have to work with somebody who had created it for you?
I'm using the one that came with my phone, like through iPhone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's usually we have it saved as ourselves and it says me on there, and then you just put whatever notes you need to remember. So what happened was a realtor sent me her card, and it was all like a business card, and I went, what? So my daughter was in swim practice, and I was just sitting in the car checking my phone when this text came in, and I saw this, and I was like, oh, I can change it from saying me to like my business card. So then I right away fixed mine and then replied to her text with mine, and she goes, great, you're saved. And I go, oh. Like I was just mind blown at how easy it was. And then I have found out that if someone has already saved me in their contacts, that it won't override. Like they have to manually like accept it or something. And not all Android people can accept it. It's mostly an iPhone thing that transfers so well. I guess there are times that I have a digital business card that I'll send over to people like, hey, here's my digital business card. But that's after we've been texting. And they'll say, oh, this is my business card. But I just save their contact card.
Okay, cool. All right. Any other business wisdom or advice you'd like to share with the group today?
Probably it's better to be online and making mistakes instead of holding back and not posting because you're afraid to make a mistake. I think making mistakes and being vulnerable shows that you're more personable and people will connect with you better. I know that a lot of people are afraid of social media still, and so they have accounts but they don't post anything on it. And so the problem is people will forget about you unless they see you every day, like walking your dog or doing whatever your occupation is. Then they forget. And so I think it's better to say like, hey, I'm technically challenged, but here's my attempt at making a video. Or hey, I'm technically challenged and here's my attempt of checking in at the grocery store. I hope I'm doing this right. You probably are doing it right, but just the fact that you tried and then it shows up on your Facebook feed that this person checked into Ralph's is like, oh yeah, I gotta contact him. I meant to call her.
Right.
You know, it kind of like reminds people to do stuff. But if you hold back and don't post anything, then people are gonna think you're dead, even if you're not.
Okay, that's great. That's great advice. I did have one joke I was going to try on you, which is, what is the definition of junk?
So
You're not supposed to say anything.
Oh.
I'm supposed to tell the punchline.
Oh, okay.
Definition of junk is something that you keep in your garage for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and throw away 2 weeks before you need it.
You know, I have a rebuttal to that.
You do? Okay.
Okay, so a lot of people keep things just in case. So I call them out on when just in case is. So people will keep this item like a sewing machine and they're gonna sew after their kids grow up. And mind you, they have little toddlers, okay? Because they don't have time. The toddler runs their life. So they go, when this child grows up and is a teenager, I'll have time to sew, so I gotta keep this sewing machine. So then I go, okay, well, you know, when your teenager is a teenager, you gotta drive them everywhere, they're in a part of a million sports, you have no time because now you're their chauffeur. So unless your sewing machine is portable, you're not gonna have time to sew and drive your kid around. And then they go, okay, well, when my kid's 18, they'll be in college and I'll be an empty nester and I'll have plenty of time to sew. And I go, awesome. In the meantime, this sewing machine is gonna get old, it's gonna get rusty, it's gonna become obsolete, and now you have this piece of junk that's worthless and doesn't even work. So why don't we donate it or sell it and use this space more functional, and then when you do become empty nesters, you can use all your retirement money on more sewing stuff. And so when I turn it in their brain that why aren't they using that item now and not to save it for just in case, then it clicks something in their head and they're like, you're right, I'm not going to have time for this. You're right, I am going to buy a better one. Why should I hold on to this? And so then it's really a lot easier to continue in the process because we've eliminated that just in case item. If they can't figure out when they're going to use that item right now, then they should just donate it. Because there's no reason to keep it just in case. So I've had that rebuttal.
Your definition is better than mine, but I thought mine was funnier.
I had heard that. It comes up almost every time I do it. I'm keeping this just in case. Okay, when's just in case? Or they'll say, oh, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to do that later. I'm here. Later's now. We're going to take care of it now.
Well, that's why King Tut's tomb was so stuffed full of things. It was just in case. He needed that in the afterlife, right? All right. On that happy and somewhat silly note, we're going to say our farewells. Thank you so much for your time today and sharing your wisdom with the group and Placentia Chamber and the wider world. Until next time, be well.